All right, everyone, it's Friday, and you know what that means. It's another Q&A with Alan and Marshall, and today we have another special guest. Who do we have here, Alan?
Have no idea. Never met him. He's new to the industry. No, we have the one and only Bruce Ackerman from Printavo, and I couldn't be more excited, Marshall. You know, Bruce, you came. I remember first seeing you in the industry, and you came and have turned the industry upside down, and just dove in with both feet. And it's been such a pleasure, not just from what you do with Printavo, but of just creating community. And so I am so excited to have you on the show. So thank you.
That's super nice. Thank you.
It's true.
I feel like we're just trying to help. So
yeah.
Yeah, thank you. That's really nice.
And you're literally one of the nicest guys in the industry too. Always personable and stuff, as busy as you are. So
right,
you see him in the show. He's surrounded with people, but go say hello.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
So everybody right now, I see you guys logging in. Please say hello. Let us know where you're watching from. Yep. Also, do Alan and I a favor and share that you're watching this show. We're trying to build our audience just like everybody else on the planet, and we need your help. We can't do all the heavy lifting ourselves. Yep. So please share that you're watching it, and that would really help us out and build our audience, and we appreciate that. So
definitely.
Leave a comment
it too on ours.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we're going to have, thanks, Bruce. We're going to have, today is all going to be about Print Hustlers recap, but also Printavo, and also from a software side, maybe how he sees this industry. And it's your opportunity to ask him questions, and us too. I guess, we can answer questions. But so get all that in. So please, say hello, drop a comment, drop a question. It's a Q&A show, and it only works with you do the Q part.
Yep, absolutely.
Right. So let's say hello to some folks real quick, and then we'll get into some things. Okay. So Charles is here as usual from New Mexico.
Always good.
How's it going? Frank's here from SNS. Really glad. I wish I could actually talk to you more at Print Hustlers, but you were busy. Padraig's here from Ireland. Hey, Padraig, how you doing? And he just bought a new auto, by the way.
Ooh,
congratulations.
Richard's here. Hey, from Michigan. Eric's here. Good afternoon. Watcher from Houston, Texas with Bruce bobblehead on my desk. I grabbed one of those too, Bruce, by the way.
I'm glad it didn't break. I've heard a lot of them broke at the ankles.
My son walked in. It's on my desk. He's like, "Why do you have a statue of Obama?" Hurley Molds is here. Good morning. Ghost is here from Sweden. And hey guys, Ron's there. Have a good day.
Ron Goodwin.
Storm Ravage, Cohasset, Massachusetts.
Storm Ravage. I'm glad you're safe, Ron.
Yeah, and Scott's here. Hey, it was really good seeing you, Scott. And by the way, my wife was very impressed with the face mask that you gave me with the branded Atkinson Consulting laser etched patch on the face mask. So appreciate that. Thank you. I got them downstairs. Otherwise, I'd show everyone. But maybe I'll do an Instagram post just for Scott. So that was really cool. So anyway, it was so good to see people. And, we did Shirt Lab a couple weeks ago and Print Hustlers last week. And I think and wouldn't you agree, Bruce, it's really great seeing people and getting together and people doing what they got to do to make their businesses better. And I think getting together in a public event, whether it's a trade show or an industry show, these things really matter, don't you think?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that every one of them, whether, Shirt Lab or the cool podcasts out there, or Print Hustlers, the trade, they all have their kind of little niche in different areas. But I swear people it's like they want to just hang out like at summer camp and see their friends. And then the other half is like pick up some cool tips and stuff to bring home. So
right.
Yeah.
I think all of them, it's both. You know, I love events like that. I love the networking. I love meeting people, especially now because there's people I've met like at Shirt Lab that I've only seen online and get to meet them face to face. But then, you know, I wanted even the speakers as a supplier where I'm taking notes going, oh, I can apply that to my everyday work. And I always come back. It's like a seminar. You come back with one or two things to help your business. It's a win.
Right. And I got to tell you, I think this industry, most of the industry business is done at the bar.
Agreed. Yeah.
It's as anybody who's met me knows, I love a bar. So that doesn't mean I'm always drinking, because sometimes I'm having a coffee, but I like hanging out in a bar. It suits my nature, I think. So, hey, Keith is here. Good morning.
Good morning, Keith. Yeah, you know, it goes back to sales that, you know, when you're relaxed and you're just being yourself, and we're talking industry, we're talking business, we're talking life, people still buy from who they know, who they like, and who they respect. And you just know people, and that's the networking part.
100%. We actually talk about that in a couple presentations. It's just, sure, you can do the service that they need, but if they like you, that's probably half the game too. I mean, they can go on Yelp and find somebody else to do the service, but they have to like you. And also too, honestly, there's no other way. And maybe it's more this space or more B2B type spaces, but to meet the vendors and everybody else that you just talk to regularly. I mean, email and things are nice, but you know, when you need something in a pinch or you know, more of a product question, or you want to do a partnership or anything like that, it has to be in person.
Oh, absolutely. Agreed.
Yeah. Personal relationships is what drives business. I mean, how many people do you know that do business with their enemies?
None.
Nobody.
Hey, I've invited our quote unquote enemies to the conference.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's up to them, right? It's up to them to decide if they want to go or not.
But that goes back to my other thing, Bruce. That's why you're the nicest guy in the industry.
Well,
thank you.
Yeah, and I wanted to go to Print Hustlers for a long time, but I was legally obligated not to for various reasons. I had a thing that I signed.
Right.
Yeah.
So now that's over, right? I can do whatever I want.
But I know we've had, you know, you do your own, guys have a podcast. We've had Matt Marcotte on. We're having you on. We've had Andy from the Shirt Show, Rudman on all there. And, you know, it's not competition. Nobody's in there trying to compete with each other. We're all trying to have a service. We're all trying to build community. We're all trying to build an industry. Yes, we want to make a living. That's what we do. But
I think I understand it, like, you know, locally shops and stuff, people don't want to share things with the people they directly compete with there, but for sure the rest of it is exciting to be able to share. And honestly, you know what's crazy is that people from outside the space always mention that, wow, you guys just like overshare a ton. This is not the same. I mean, Doug Renfroe, he talked about it, who runs a salsa company. He's like, people in the food industry do not share like this. You know, it's all secretive and everything like that.
Yeah, he was. We're going to get into some of the speakers here in a minute, but man, that guy was funny. Like I didn't know salsa could be so humorous.
I mean, yeah, I guess we'll talk about it too. It's just, it was crazy how much of almost a professional speaker he was.
Yeah.
Just incredible presentations.
Right. So here's a great thing from Brian, and thanks for commenting. You're more likely to do business with people you like more than a stranger.
Absolutely.
And that's absolutely true. And Ron is about raise the bar. Thanks, Ron.
Absolutely.
Ron, wait, no electricity, Ron? Where's
no
Ron?
electricity?
Says he's been
Day 3, no electricity.
Oh boy, for the shop too?
That's not good.
Wow.
But hey, at least he's watching the show.
Yeah. Thank you for using your battery. Yeah. Phone battery or something.
Just for us.
Yeah. That's great.
I feel special.
The last 5%.
Yeah. Ron goes away. We know what happened.
So, hey, well, let's start talking about the event. right after we share a word from our sponsor, GSG.
Absolutely.
And so everyone get your dance tune on.
Everybody dance. Yep.
Everybody dance. Awesome.
Yep. There it is. The Bruce Ackerman bobblehead.
The
You know you've arrived.
Hey,
when you have your
does
own
that look
bobblehead.
like Obama? I guess it does a little bit.
No, it looks like Bruce.
It's a little. I'm a little lighter skinned.
Yeah, holding a squeegee. President Obama wouldn't hold a squeegee.
Right. So one of the I'll tell you, one of the guys I met is this printer from Huntington Beach, California, Justin View. Did you meet him, Bruce?
I don't.
He's been
Maybe.
printing. Now talk about somebody who is leveling up. This guy's only been screen printing for 8 months. Okay, here's his mentors: Andy McDougall, John McGee. Right? He gave me this shirt that he printed. This is, I get in the thing. This is 4-color process on black. 65 line screen.
That's unreal.
8 months this guy's been printing.
Imagine if he listened to guys who actually knew what they were doing. Are you kidding me? Andy McDougall and John McGee, it doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah. So let me tell you how excited he was to be at your event, Bruce.
Yeah.
Right? He was so happy to be there. He was just blown away. Right?
Thanks,
and
Justin.
so it was really fun seeing that and meeting him and that kind of stuff. And he was so excited to meet me. He gave me one of his shirts. Right? So I think that's really cool. So anyway,
awesome.
I appreciate that, Justin. Yeah, and also I have to big shout out to Made Labs, which is this new program Brett,
Tom Davenport.
Tom Davenport and Brett Bowden are working on in Texas, which is still, they had their launch party, but they're going to be doing some really cool master classes and garment testing, all kinds of stuff. We work together to really help put it together. But yeah, thanks, Justin. What's crazy though is I think that's just a world that's going to continue, right? Everything is just going to be hyper competitive. Mm-hmm. And it's like brand and service probably are some of the big things that help people stand out. But I mean, that's nuts, but that's a true testament. It's the same thing in software. I mean, It used to be impossible to build software programs and get it distributed like on discs. Are you kidding me? To sell discs and everything. But now you don't need to code. I mean, Marshall, you have that awesome app, and people are building blocks.
Our Printavo sync we're almost done with beta. I mean, like another week, I think we're done, right? And we're going to be launching it. So
I think it's really cool. It lowers a barrier to entry, but it does make people think different. Like they can't, you just can't float along like you have been, and just have to adapt. But it is what it is. Yeah.
Right. So got some really cool quotes. So Sean is here. Hey, Sean.
From Georgia. How you doing, Sean?
Yeah. And Charles says, this day and age, the information is out there. Proprietary secrets don't really exist. So it's better to help each other out. It just makes everyone better and creates more credibility for our industry.
Agreed.
Love that. And Scott agrees with me. That dude's prints were amazing.
Yep. There is proprietary stuff out there, but it's usually on the manufacturing side of it. And you just know what you can share and don't. I mean, Marshall, you're under NDAs. I'm under NDAs. Bruce, you probably are with companies, some things. And you just know what to share. But it's mostly, I find, more from the manufacturing side now than in the print side. I know in one industry, I'm not going to say because it's now changing. Actually, I will say it. It's that whole big transfer market. There's those guys, because I don't think any of them are listening. Back in the day, because they all they were like the offspring of one company. And they still, some of them to this day, think they have something that the other people don't have. And I hate to tell them, going, yeah, you don't. I've been in all of them.
I think
there is a paranoia factor still.
And
but there's been some new ones that come out are going, yeah, we don't care. We know what we're doing.
Supercolor is cleaning their lunch right now.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And by the way, Rum's comments on your thing were just awesome.
Yeah.
Bruce, when he got up and spoke for 5 minutes, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think also they helped push transfers out of such a little niche that people historically thought of. And there's so many people that are preferring transfers, especially with e-commerce now.
Absolutely.
I went to a shop that literally their business shifted through COVID. 60% is just stores fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all driven through transfers.
Well, I'll tell you what's happening.
Stocks them all and,
Yep.
You talked to a lot of shops. Alan talks to a lot of shops. So do I. And I tell you what's really happening right now is we're having such a difficult time finding people to run the presses, but you can teach just about anybody to run a heat press. And so what's happening is a lot of times is they're switching to doing transfers with a heat press because we have production, we have sales, we have orders. And for a lot of people, they just want the logo on the shirt. How that gets on it, they don't care, right? So a transfer works and satisfies the customer, and we get the sale and we make the money. And I know a couple of shops like David Slagle with B Graphics in Pennsylvania. He sold all of his screen printing equipment and only does
DTF
transfers, right? So. I think it's going to be more common than you think, right? Just what's going on. And
he does the DTF, you said?
I'm sorry?
DTF. He brought it in-house.
Yeah, he bought the equipment from China and actually had to get the Mandarin translations just to learn how to run his machines, right? But he's doing it, and he's dialed it in, and he was showing me he was doing direct-to-film transfers on laser leather etched hat press. So instead of just the tan with the black, he's got color on it now. I mean, it's like and he's like really amazing guy, and he's just really pushing the envelope of what you can do with that stuff. So
I learned something just yesterday on the DTF that all those machines, they all look very similar in the chassis side. And I was told yesterday that is by design from the manufacturer in China. So like some of the people here in the United States, the chassis comes from China. They do their little magic to make it their own, and it's branded. But I was told that the chassis by design has to be the same because the government of China, in case it got big and they have to mass produce it, then they have all these shops able to do it.
Oh, that's interesting.
That was interesting because I never thought about it. I'm thinking of the ones I saw; they all look the same.
Yeah,
in the chassis, and I thought that was interesting. So yeah.
So we got a couple comments I want to get to before we get too far down the road. So we skipped over Scott. So he was talking about Justin's shirt. That dude's prints were amazing, soft hand. Ron says best part of today is no distraction from customers. Generator at home. Only thing happening at the shop is UPS delivery. Boxes backing up.
Uh-oh.
Got to get on that. Josh says, good morning. Hey, Josh.
Morning from Oklahoma.
Best cooks share the recipes.
Absolutely.
John says, Bruce's team saved my shop's ass during the start of COVID shutdowns. Big thank you. Online merch stores went a long way.
That's
from
awesome.
Richmond, Indiana. Good job.
Yeah, and Peter says, hello, guys. Pete and Val from Port Huron.
Absolutely.
And by the way, Peter, did you see the link that I put in the Facebook question that you had this morning? I shared that video. So just want to make sure you saw that. So what do you say we switch to talking about the event, Bruce? What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it. It's crazy.
Right.
You know what's crazy? Like, I gotta pull up the schedule too because there's just so much there. I mean, we had. Oh, perfect.
Here's
you got it in there.
Right.
Yeah,
so
I mean, there's just a lot.
So what happened to this guy? He didn't talk.
He was in a workshop. Kevin was in a workshop.
Oh, yeah. So we did Tom and I skipped out on the workshops and went to go see the Banksy art exhibit.
Which is awesome too.
Yeah.
Banksy.
So while we were there, we did that for an hour. So that was cool. But Debbie and Carmela were great from Jack Nadell.
Yeah, they're at such a huge scale, in which I think is a really good perspective for people to pull a couple tidbits from. I mean, they're at one of the largest, probably up there with like Halo products and so on, with just volume. They were talking a lot about Tesla, especially of managing that customer, and I think the piece there though was they really overemphasize expectations, good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like, okay, if something's coming bad, they're on top of it to tell the customer. And sometimes we think, oh shit, they're going to be pissed and let me just wait and see. But it seems like, at least in the times that we've had to do this too, even if the site is down, like a couple of days ago, actually, it was just, okay, they're on it. They understand. They're working on it. That's good. Right.
Yep.
That's the part that mattered.
Well, yeah, and what I really enjoyed from them is that you're exactly right with the expectation. And let me tell you, from doing this for so long, if you over communicate, even if you don't have the answer, if you let people know that you're working on it, hey, I got to contact UPS. I'll be back with you by the end of the day to let you know what happened. And whether UPS has the answer or not, you still should follow up. Say, hey, just letting you know, we didn't get an answer yet. We're still working it or whatever. Because what happens a lot of times, Bruce, is people make up the worst case story in their head about what's going on. And if you're not on top of it with communication, they think that you've forgotten about them or you don't care or whatever the thing is. Yeah. So you have to be constantly really vigilant and on top of it and communicating about what's up. Otherwise, people just assume the worst. And that's what I've kind of been thinking about. What do you think about that?
Well, guys, if I can inject, I think that's great because what you said on managing expectations, there's a difference in my world from sales. Once you make the sale and you have that account, you're no longer a salesman. You're an account manager. And all that is managing expectations. And I learned that when I worked in the music industry, managing bands. When you get started, you're just trying to push them and do that and drag them all around. But the older I got, it's like you manage their expectations. What do they want to do? Where are they at? And you start managing expectations. And now in our industry, with everything going on, you have to manage expectations with your clients. If you don't, and I'm bad news because every day bad news is happening. I'm one short on this shirt order. What can you do? You've got to manage those expectations and bring that to the customer and have solutions for them right away.
So Bruce, from the software side of things, how do you manage that? Because I'm sure you get a gazillion questions a day. What do you do?
I actually haven't been as good. I think I overpromised a bit, especially earlier on. With like, oh, hey, when's this feature going to come out? Oh, I think in a couple months. Our problem was kind of similar to manufacturers and like what you guys deal with now, I'm sure, where it's like, okay, you order a press or some equipment or whatever, and it takes way longer than people think. We just got so bogged down. And so then I had talked to so many people that, this is going to come out, then this is going to come out. Eventually, I personally stopped giving dates and had to just totally back off and just be like, I think the more honest perspective for us was, I'm not sure when we're going to. I'm going to make our team aware of it, but I don't know what's the priority around this because there's like 30 things that are a priority to everybody. So that's the best I can give. And then what we do give is just stuff that I know for sure because it's being worked on now. It's like, okay, this is worked on now. The estimate is this date or that date. And I notice bigger companies like Apple, for example, they'll say at their big announcements, hey, we're going to release this in fall of 2021, which means they're very close to being done, right? And they're confident about talking about it. They're not saying next year. It's so difficult. So
fall isn't a date, right? That's 3 months, right?
Yeah, it
Right.
could be August all the way to November.
So are
Yeah.
you using Asana or Jira? What do you use to plan?
Yeah, we use this tool called Pivotal Tracker. It's pretty similar to Jira. I mean, it helps. The problem with software is that it's like any project where you think you're 80, 90% for the longest time, and that last 10% takes forever.
Yeah.
And then also it's at a scale where some of these big projects, you have to like gut something else to get something else done.
Yeah.
And then everything just takes a little bit longer. Like you get so excited, and we have that like fallacy of it not. But at the same time, I think if you mentally said, and that we had the team aligned around it taking longer, it would probably also slip longer too. So it's this weird balance of how do you create motivation to want to get stuff done realistically, but then what is the reality? And yeah.
So I just finished putting together a 422-page book, right?
Really?
Yeah, and it's
Congratulations.
coming out next month. It's
That is not easy.
my podcast, Success Stories, that SNS Activewear sponsors. Thank you, SNS, by the way. So we did season 1. So it's every episode with a transcription of all the episodes, and it's all laid out into a book. And I'm using a flip book thing, and so I wanted to give this to SNS for sponsoring the show, and I had to. I built the plan. I have a virtual assistant. She actually did like 90% of the work, but it's like, this is the cadence we need. And of course, I'm also dumping all my other projects on her lap. So we are about 6 weeks late from when I wanted it to happen, but getting it finished and getting the final stuff. And here it is. And there's these last minute changes. And then, I've looked at it 100 times, and then you send it to people and then they find the typo, that you've missed it, and so that's what happens a lot of times. And so you just got to keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing. And, eventually the baby gets born, and so
someone said it in one of the talks too. It's just, who was it? They were just talking about relentless forward progress. And I think it was Jacob, Jack Prince.
Yeah,
it was just,
it
was just always making forward progress no matter what.
And
that's
Jacob
the only
Edwards.
way, and he was talking about he dropped out in 9th grade. Right. And, the odds are stacked against you at that point, but just that forward progress constantly and trying to solve and create solutions. And you're really spot on.
I really loved seeing his story and him sharing those behind the scenes videos when he was working on, the printing, just the stuff that he's working on with the machines that, that was super fascinating stuff, right? And so it was really kind of fun to see. And then let me tell you, just looking right here, look at that row of speakers: Chris Blakesley, Ricardo Crespo, and Jacob Edwards, right? Chris Blakesley, let me tell you, that guy is probably one of the smartest guys in this industry. Yeah, just amazing. And he was talking about supply chain, right? And what's going on. Where are my shirts? Right? He answered that question, I think, the best I've ever heard. Right? Don't you think?
It was funny. The first part of that Q&A, I just read off his resume. And if you guys didn't listen, I'm going to real quick. It's 4 points. John Hopkins, finance grad, John Hopkins MBA, Wharton School of Business, multinational corporate finance, and then Harvard Law School, strategic negotiations. I mean, first of all, obviously stacked background, but then from there worked his way through Alpha Broder and then over to Bella. But I think what's really impressive, though, and I've heard this from Jeff Bezos talk about this too, is that good leaders are able to have this ability to zoom in right, and go all the way down, and then be able to zoom back up, and then be able to see that high level view. And that constant zooming ability allows them to keep moving things forward at such a big scale. And he could talk to specific units and numbers and when they're going to pass Gildan, from volume and what they're installing and the eco-friendly aspects and this and that. I mean, it was, he knew it, but he also had a strong opinion about it and where he was driving. Not only that, by the way, can I add too that he runs 2 companies for them? I mean, Bell and Canvas and Aloe Yoga.
Yeah.
So pretty crazy.
Yeah. And, who he reminded me a lot of is, I just forgot the guy's name. It'll come to me in a minute. So let's talk about Ricardo for a minute, okay? Mm-hmm. So he's spoken at ThreadX. He's done some stuff with Printing United, and you guys had him back, to kind of help kick everything off. And and he's such a little dynamo, right? Yeah. And so how did you did you have him in mind, or is that kind of like Tom's and Brett's influence on the programming?
Brett was a big advocate for Ricardo, which was actually nice that we could all work together to create a diverse group. But he's like, people really liked him. And honestly, he was the number one we sent a survey out. He was the number one most well-received speaker. Braden, said he was great at ThreadX too. He's almost like a coach, right? It's like you could be a great baseball player, but everybody has some sort of coach to help. Mm-hmm. And he's that, right? For the branding, creating your why, your rally call that gets the team on the same page and helps customers understand who you truly are. And we'll release his talk too after, but definitely gets you pumped up. And on top of him working with Nike and this, he's
Mattel and everybody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think he's one of those guys that makes you want to achieve more.
Yeah.
Right. If you just look at what you're doing, it's like, I should be doing more than what I'm doing.
Yes.
So that was really kind of,
I know,
in your uniqueness.
He was one of the favorites of course, everybody's wondering, I did not go to Print Hustlers. Yeah. It was for cool people. I was stopped at the door. They had a red carpet and a red velvet rope there.
Well, somebody has to run this show, Alan.
Yeah, exactly.
And let's not forget, right? You had our favorite guy last week, Jesse, right? Yeah, Ray. So
it was a good time. But I know, Alex Mimosa was there, and Jordan Atkinson from Easy was there, and Alex was saying he loved Ricardo. Thought it was he was just. And got them all pumped up, ready to go. So
right. And Frank says the Wiener Store commercial was so unexpected but funny. Yeah. So they had this great video, right, of this hot dog. Is it a stand in Chicago?
Yeah,
it's Chicago. Is it LA? Where is that? Where is that place? Is it Chicago? Where is that?
It's in Chicago. I'm going to try to find the video. I'll post it.
And it was like. Drive-through insults. It's probably the best way to describe it, and it was just hilarious. Just hilarious.
Yeah, I'll post in the comments. Here's you.
Right. All right. So, all right. Let's get more goodness out here. So, let's talk about Doug Renfroe and Todd Raydom real quick. Okay. So Doug, right, was the CEO of Renfroe Foods. They make salsa, right? And Mrs. Renfroe salsa. And this guy was so funny and just talking about how he's built his family business and what it's like and trying to get sales. And he just really took us all the way through it. And you go, well, what does making food have to do with what we do in our industry? Yep. And I got to tell you, I think it has a lot to do with it because we all have competition that's bigger than us. We all have a small, they're a small business where, what was it, Bruce? It was like 6 or 7 people in his family worked there, right?
A lot.
So it's like,
More than I
how
can
do you
handle.
get along, and how do you do stuff, and how do you just keep pushing forward? And he was sharing that story, and it's super relatable to everybody in the audience because we're all doing the same thing.
So how does that relate to us and what we do? Everything. It relates to everything we do.
Yeah,
right.
It's tough. It was really interesting though. I think what he helped bring was also a lot of times everybody has this big like corporate view of that they portray. I mean, we do the same thing, right? You want to be bigger than you are. But he really broke that down into the realities of what they deal with and their company too, which I thought was nice.
Yeah. And there you go. So great job creating FOMO for next year's Print Hustler Conference. That's right, Brian. Right. Hey, look, Charlie's here. Hey, Charlie.
Hey, Charlie, how you doing?
Yeah. Richard Greaves quotes chefs all the time to me. Yes.
Yep, he does.
And so I think one of the really cool things about Doug's talk was how they're innovating and how he looks at ingredients that are kind of showing up, in different places, and they're always experimenting. And what you don't know from buying stuff in your grocery store is that there's actually a lot of chemistry involved. I didn't really realize that, where you can make something in your kitchen, but making that on a commercial level is impossible because it has to sit there on the shelf for a year and not explode.
That was interesting.
I didn't really realize that.
Yeah. It's so funny you say that. It built perfectly off of Ricardo's because it was the whole thing about what is your why? What is your unique value proposition to distinguish yourself? I mean, if you go to a salsa aisle, how many brands are there? 20 at least, right? But how do they be able to create loyal customers and a following? And he talked about social media and
Bruce, share his tip to get free salsa.
Oh, what was it? It was the if I want to be able to feature your salsa in a magazine, like a commercial or a photo, a social post, he was like, "Oh, we'd send it out, no questions asked."
So just if you write Mrs. Renfroe salsa and say, "Hey, we're going to make a video and we're going to feature it," they'll ship you free salsa to include in the thing. And he was showing product highlights of all these TV shows and movies. And they were the only, it was really funny where they had, I think it was Stranger Things, where somebody opened the refrigerator and every single product, the label was turned around so you couldn't read it, except for theirs, because they're the only one that actually gave them the free salsa.
Right. And didn't care about getting paid, and everybody else,
Everybody else wanted a product placement fee. Right.
I think we're going to be eating chips and salsa in a couple of weeks, aren't we? I'll email them right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna be watching my Florida State play Clemson tomorrow and eating some Mrs. Renfroe salsa.
Hey, free salsa, I'm all over going Q&A with free salsa and chips and salsa.
Right.
So, that'd be great.
And so let's skip back. Look, let me drive the right buttons here. Let's skip back over and talk about Todd Raydom. Right. So this guy has been doing. Alan, you would have loved it. He's designed all of the World Series. He's designed logos for your favorite baseball teams, Super Bowls, all types of stuff. All comes through this guy's creative brain.
Really?
And he was showing his process. He showed a really great video that Ice Cube did with him, right? Because he did that 3-on-3 basketball league, right? And it was really super fascinating. As you guys know, I'm an ex-art director, so I was totally geeking out on his, right? Because I'm all about the art. That was just really cool to see. So, Bruce, talk about that a guy a little bit.
Yeah, Todd it's so interesting. I mean, he clearly has a big sporting, it sounds like especially baseball background, but the amount of logos that he's touched, just go to Todd, Todd Raydom, RADOM.com, and just click on his work to see his portfolio. I mean, things from Celebration, like Lakers 60 years, to all these retro NBA logos, the Los Angeles Angels' logo, Astros, the All-Star games. I mean, it's pretty crazy, right? Especially as it's not screen printing, but the stuff does get printed on unbelievable amounts of apparel. But really
it's not
talented
just
guy.
apparel. What I really appreciated from him was he's designing these logos that have to be embroidered. They have to go on the grass on the field. That have to be on a sign. They have to be on a jersey. They have to be printed. They have to be on TV, right? It's the same logo. So he's got all these different variations and iterations of it that have to work. And that was really kind of interesting to see because, from a designer perspective, I'm just doing for one thing, that project, right?
Yep.
I'm not really having to do it for all this other stuff.
Yep.
And so I really appreciated hearing that. And that was kind of fun to see. And by the way, naturally, he had the best design presentation of the event, and that was really kind of cool. And what I really loved was his little logo bug that was in the corner.
Yeah.
Nice everything was like standard, perfect. I look for that stuff because I kind of geek out like that. So
and obviously, I'm actually on his site now. Obviously, he's from Chicago. I can tell. So
yeah,
I'm geeking out over the base. You said baseball stuff, so immediately I went to the website.
Yep.
So I'm not paying attention. That's Bruce's fault.
So let's talk about some other guys, right? So we've got how much time we got? We got 20 minutes. All right. So let's talk about Steve, right? So this was a very interesting choice because, he's in the punk rock music scene. So talk about that a little bit, Bruce.
Yeah. So, Brett got into screen printing from music as well as a lot of shop owners now. And they were thinking about who's in Chicago that kind of is a neighboring industry to apparel and decoration. And Steve came up, and I guess at first he was like, nah, I'm not, like, that doesn't sound like it's related to me. And then Tom pushed him just to say, dude, this is like t-shirts. Like, this is the core aspect, which is kind of cool because they actually talked a lot about merchandising as such a big piece of how musicians make money. But and the price of it has also jumped. He's like, it used to be a t-shirt for $15 and now could be $35 for a t-shirt. But then how that's all changed over the years. And I think it was an interesting polarizing speech because people either knew about him or they didn't. And I didn't really know a ton about him other than watching a bunch of videos beforehand, but it was cool, right? I mean, like our space, we get so busy with our day-to-days, we kind of forget how much it really spans from there, and how many people it touches that way. And music obviously is a big piece of this.
Well, I loved hearing his story, linking back to like the guy that got, like his whole like route, his career, what he's been doing, how he feels about print, how he links it to music, and it was just a very interesting thing. And what was this thing? We're all weirdos, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And it's good to be a weirdo. So he was very kind of an interesting guy. I never heard of him ever before he's got up on stage and started talking. So it was good to hear his story and his perspective. So what's going on with my screen? It's not scrolling. Hold on. Did my mouse just die? Well, that's not good.
No, I see it moving. Maybe
we never have technical issues either.
Well, why isn't it operating? I can't click. What a dumb problem to have. Right.
That's all right. I mean, I could chat on Kevin too, which was
Yeah, Kevin Baumgart.
Is it still showing that? Because I hid the screen.
yeah, it shows a screen.
You have a link from Ghosta up also.
Okay, I have another mouse. Let's try that.
Go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah,
Talk about Kevin.
so we did a couple workshops. If you haven't been before, normally on one of the days we'll do workshops where people split into smaller groups, and we had a guy, Kevin Baumgart.
Right.
Kevin's so interesting because Kevin actually is somebody I got connected with maybe 5 years ago. No, about 4 years ago, and he was helping us with sales consulting. So it was just me, right? Just like every shop owner, you're selling, and then maybe you bring on your first rep, and then they're selling. And honestly, I said, look, I've done the best that I feel like I can do to help make them successful. What else are we missing? What don't we know?
Right.
And Kevin comes from just an unbelievable background of sales and running sales teams, and more than that, I started referring him off to shops a couple of years ago. So he's been consulting for big shops, small shops, everything in between, with things like how to hire a sales rep, like what is your interview process? You don't waste time.
Sure.
Training, like the scripts. How do you make them successful? How do you pay a rep?
Hey,
your battery died.
What? Why is this going?
Hey, what's going on?
You hit the video link.
Yeah, well, I think it unfroze. I don't know. Hey, I don't know what happened. So
now you're good.
I'm using a different. I have another mouse, so I'm using another mouse.
Bruce, I love what you're saying about Kevin, because I get people asking, going from shops, how do I hire a sales guy? What do I do? And I don't know for their side. Being in sales as long as I have, I know how to do supplier sales, manufacturing sales. But I wouldn't know how to hire one for a print company.
It's crazy. And really, I think what's really hard is the first sales rep. Like, so many people are coming in, I'm kind of the first person. How do I pay them? Is it a base plus commission? Is it on net? Is it on gross? How do I make them successful? And honestly, I feel like you're going to screw up the first one anyway, but at least give yourself the best chance. And he's at setsales.co, but he actually sponsored too, which is helpful. But it's nuts. And we still, I don't feel like it's an ever ending thing. We try to do some quarterly event, get them in, talk about things and how to fine tune, right, your sales team.
Awesome.
So I'm not going to show the screen again because I don't want to lock up. So who did we talk about yet? We didn't talk about Josh Merrill with Liquid Graphics.
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
That was really cool to hear his story about how he built his company and what he's doing and the problems that he's had over the years and that kind of stuff. So why don't you talk about that a little bit, Bruce?
Yeah. Josh, I met Josh through Rock, actually. Ross, who runs Rock here in the U.S., was always talking about him because they sold, I think it was 15 Rock presses. They have a 120,000 square foot facility out in California. And I'm hearing this guy again. I'm like, can I just get an intro? Can somebody give me an email address here? And I shot an email, and I was there for some time, and then just went by, and he gave a tour. But like, he started in his garage too. It wasn't like he bought this big shop. He grew from starting a clothing brand, very common story, got screwed over by a shop and then bought some equipment and then scaled from there. But I think what's very unique about Josh is he's very business minded. Like, he's like, I don't think I've ever really pulled a squeegee. I love the art and I love the sales of it. And I find really good people that know the operations and help there. And that's something that I even get stuck on, is just wrapping your head around, is just delegating things off to be able to get to the next level. Now, granted, he has 350 something people. He has his own set of problems, just like everybody too. It's not perfect, but an unbelievable, just true story about the ups and downs of
Mhm.
growing to that size. And he's got like, he said something 80 positions that are open
Wow.
at any time, right? Because you just have this natural flux of people leaving and coming. Pretty
Yeah.
intriguing.
So, I've run big shops too, and you're just normal attrition, not COVID, just normal attrition.
Mhm.
It's about 10-15%, and because, Maria gets pregnant or Billy goes to jail or so-and-so moves away or, Fred's in jail again. I mean, whatever, right? There's all these problems that you always have with people.
Right.
And you're always hiring, you're always training, you're always onboarding, and God bless the HR crew, right? They keep you sane, right? I love HR people, right? So, anyway,
Yeah.
so who's left, Bruce? I want to
Jacob
talk about
was
Printavo
probably,
updates and stuff before we go. So,
yeah, we had let's see, Jacob Edwards from Jack Prince.
mhm.
We talked
Yep,
about
that
him.
was good. That was good to see.
Yeah.
And I loved, he still hangs out with his first printer, right? What was that guy's name?
Jeff
He's like a
Weisenberg.
Swedish. He's like a Swedish guy or something, right?
Jeff Weisenberg, isn't it?
I can't remember.
I can't remember,
You're
but
probably right, Alan.
I thought his first printer was Jeff Weisenberg. So,
Yeah.
and I know Jeff, but yeah, I thought that's what it is. I might be wrong.
so anyway, so it was
Jacob's,
good to hear his story and what he's doing, and I really loved. By the way, one of the favorite swag things that was in the thing was the little fold up ruler with the E scale on it.
Mm.
Where is that
That was
thing?
Jack
It's around here
Prince.
somewhere.
Jacob was clearly, his whole theme is keep pushing the envelope. Like, all right,
Yeah.
I'm stuck. I'm going to solve it. There's no product to buy. I'm going to make it. This isn't working out. I'm going to change the team structure. I mean, he went from 300 something people to 50 people. And he was like, we had basically the same output, just a lot more profitable. Okay.
Yep.
Nuts. I mean, he built this machine. So he comes from paper printing. Obviously, if you've been to Jack Prince, they do like everything.
Yep.
But did you see the machine? So basically, it literally takes shirts off the dryer and puts them into stacks for you.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Right. I mean, he's just constantly thinking about stuff.
Yeah, right. Cool. Well, hey, let's talk about Printavo for a minute, right?
Yeah.
So I know you've shared with me the secret scheduling tool, right? Because that's my jam, right?
For sure.
When I know we just talked about it, I'm not giving dates, but how far away are you on releasing that puppy?
Yeah, we gotta. So we wanted to be internally. We said we needed to be sellable by Long Beach. So we're kind of backing into that. We need to get a beta out hopefully in December or so.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole scheduling to be able to handle capacity and assigning different work to equipment and break up work for, this is finishing work, this is embroidery work, and so on. So yeah, that'll be pretty exciting. And then they showcase the mobile app, which is brand new, coming out too. It's kind of crazy, right? Like outside of our space, when you sign up on a website, Asana or Basecamp, Monday, whatever, you almost expect there to be a mobile app. You just go to the app store, you type it in, you just download it. You don't even think about it. And we've had one, but now it's going to be actually really powerful and usable. If you've ever used the Shopify one, it'll be helpful too. But yeah, that's going to be pretty cool too.
Right. By the way,
I saw that. And what's the mouse for? The rat?
Because my mouse wasn't working.
Oh,
it's my brother giving me crap. He was on the show last week. Alan, did you see?
Yeah, I saw that. I mentioned him.
Yeah.
Where does Tim live?
Yeah.
He lives in Tallahassee. He's my younger brother. He's a very, very smart guy. He's an attorney. He's also a classical guitarist. So,
Yeah, I think he posted something. He said, "Great show." He goes, "This is better than any of the other ones."
Yeah, he was making fun because I wasn't there, right? So,
and I started laughing. I said who it was.
So got some great comments here. So Charles says he's excited for the new scheduler. John says very excited for a mobile app. Mobile app would be so helpful.
You missed some up top below.
Oh yeah. So I'm so sad I missed Steve.
Go one up.
Right. And very cool to meet the guy that created all those logos. Yes.
Yep. Perfect.
Right. So here's another one. Josh, can't wait for the new scheduler. Right. So
Well, things happen.
I think everybody's going to enjoy that, Bruce. So,
yeah, I mean it's been it's crazy, almost a 2-year project to
right, yeah.
I think that'll
be. Well,
great.
I've seen it, and I've given you a couple comments, but and what I'm doing with my production tracker app really kind of feeds into that, because the only way you can have an accurate schedule is to know how long things take and what your capacity is and all that, right? So it kind of dovetails into things. So anyway, that's cool. And Sean says they need to set a demo with Printavo, and might as well be Bruce. I think you probably have people for that, don't you now? Right?
Yeah.
Sean, I'll give you a basic video, but yeah, shoot me an email, Bruce or Printavo, and I'll get you introed.
Sean's a good dude. He's got he's in Alpharetta, Georgia. So
nice.
Yep.
We got one of our teams out of Georgia. So
Cool.
I also just want to quickly mention too I'll place a comment, but the sponsors that are from the event, it's really hard to put on an event, let alone to even just break even without sponsors. So the people in Easy Way, and Supercolor and Rock, and there's a bunch of companies, Bella, of course. I mean, if you can, buy their stuff, because
Thank you.
literally, these are the people that are actually putting their dollars behind trying to make the space better.
And we do that too. I was with Alex yesterday, and Alex, everybody knows, is my boss. He was down there, and he is the one, when you see a sponsor, he gives the yes or no. And he was talking about how awesome that is, and how for our company, he said, you can tell the companies that are networking, that are actually sponsoring these things, that are being involved in, we're talking about community on there. And then some that they'll give their dollars, but they're not personable, and it's almost feels sad. He goes, he said, it seems like, he goes, there was one guy that said, you guys must own 50% of the market. We wish. Just because of how we're talked about it, things like Print Hustlers and ThreadX, and on here at Q&A and the shirt show and stuff. But that's what we want to be. We want to be there, sponsoring this and helping people that are helping the industry. And that's what we do, and that's what you do. So I know that's from Easyway. We are glad to be there and do that.
Yeah, so Kisa says she's ready for her demo.
All right.
Get it,
Bruce
Kisa.
Printavo,
Do it, Kisa. Yeah.
And then Bruce, it looks like is this you, or is this we're an assistant typing in all this stuff?
I just typed it all in. I just wanted people to know the different companies to check out.
Yeah, absolutely. GF Screens.
Yeah. I mean, again, there's plenty of large companies to choose from, but this is a small space. So companies that really choose, that want to make it better, and be there and hanging out with people and their customers. I again, who's going to go to bat for you, especially when you really need help.
And I also want to say, if you're not in a position to buy a new press or whatever, if you see these people, thank them for sponsoring Shirt Lab or Print Hustlers or whatever the event is, because they don't have to do that. I mean, and I appreciate it. I know Bruce appreciates it. And because these things, and I'll tell you, Bruce and I are simpatico because we know exactly what it's like to put these things on. It's months of herding cats. About the only way you can describe it is that, right? If you've planned a wedding, That's what this is, right?
It literally, it's funny you said that. We were sitting there. I was sitting with Brett and Tom at one point, and we're talking to the venue and food and catering and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, this literally feels like this is a deja vu of planning our wedding again, except I'm like marrying Brett and Tom.
Yeah, right. So here's a good comment for you, Alan. So I still need a new dip tank, so I'll get on that sometime when we make room in that tiny, tiny room.
Yes, it is a tiny, tiny room, and But let me know, John. I'm ready to help you out with that. I'll actually be in your area 2 weeks.
Yeah, and Frank says he enjoyed meeting and hanging out with Alex and Jordan, great people. And Frank is from SNS Activewear.
Yes.
And I super appreciate them because they sponsor not only my podcast, but also Shirt Lab. So,
yeah.
Yep, absolutely. And Alex and Jordan was great. She was like a sponge, Alex said. Jordan Atkinson she did a lot of marketing. She was a sales associate for us inside, and she's going to actually be doing some outside work for us. And I guess Alex said she was just a sponge there of meeting everybody.
And she's got a fantastic name. I really appreciate that.
I'm sure you did. Yeah. I'm sure you guys went. Now, what's your last name again? I forgot. No.
I'll never forget her name.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And Luis, I appreciate all you guys. Thanks, Luis.
Thank you, Luis. Yes.
Yeah. Thanks, Luis. Thanks, Frank.
All right. So we're about out of time. So, Bruce, what you got going on this weekend? Anything fun?
I want to see that James Bond movie, actually. The first movie probably back in theaters, not Netflix, which I kind of missed the movie experience.
My son and I went to the IMAX last night to catch Dune.
And I've heard that too.
It is so incredible. Let me tell you.
Oh, shit. I'm going to be there for two
awesome.
movies. All right.
Yeah. It's so awesome. I'm a super fan of that book, right? Super from way back, right? And I've been waiting for this movie. And here's the thing. When they started coming out with this stuff, I'm like, we're going to see the first show, the midnight movie at the IMAX, blah, 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 blah. And when does it come out? When I'm in Chicago.
Yeah.
So we had to put it off until last night. And so we went and saw it. And it was.
Are you dressing up as anything?
That's what Alan said. I go, no, I don't dress up. Sorry.
Come on.
I asked him when he went to Dune. I go, did you get all?
Hey, come on. I wore the
print
shirt. I wore the print hustle shirt. So
Marshall was telling me about the movie and all. They goes, you got to go see it. So he's got me all jacked up.
Yeah,
I've never seen the older one. I've never read the book, but I'm probably going to go do that.
You can see it on HBO Max, but let me tell you, it's not going to be the same. You need to see it really super big with the Dolby Atmos sound and just it's screaming in your ears and Hans Zimmer did the soundtrack and it's phenomenal. And there's parts of it. I was telling Alan, there's a scene, I don't know if you know Dune, but there's a scene in it where they use the voice, which, gets people to do things for you. And in the movie, they got a special way of doing that. And it's so freaking loud at the IMAX. My son actually jumped out of his chair and it scared him. He's 17, it scared him. And I was just dying laughing. It was so damn funny. And here's my brother. Yeah, he is the Quizmaster's hat rack. Yes.
Yeah.
So here's John. Dune is so good. See it in the IMAX. Yes. Frank says, thanks, guys. Go Astros.
Nice. Marshall,
who you got in the World Series, Bruce?
You
don't care.
I don't really watch baseball that much.
You're a Chicago guy. Come on. You're like Cubs guy, aren't you? What are you?
I like watching some NBA stuff when it gets to the finals, but I'm so out of it. Yeah. It's just
is basketball your sport?
When it gets towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
But things are just so busy. It's hard to I just want to see the James Bond and now Dune too. So
yeah. Yep.
Marshall, before we sign out too, there was a video I saw you were in.
Yes, we wanted to share that before we go. So this was the thing that just started playing a little while ago. So I want everybody to go check it out if I can find the thing. So I toured the GSG Dallas facility,
Oh, cool.
and there is a lot of product that gets shipped out of there, and it was so fun. So our good buddy Mark Saldana gave me a tour, and so you can see that whole thing. And we have a special shout out to Alan Howe in the middle of the video, just to embarrass him. So watch that, just so you can see Alan get all red faced when we poke fun at him. So
it was good. It was kind of a product placement shout out, so I enjoyed it.
Yeah, so here's the link, which I made a bit.ly link in about 6 seconds earlier, but it's on the GSG YouTube channel, which is fantastic anyway.
Yep.
You should be watching that for how to print tips from Mark. So,
oh my gosh, there's so many print tips and sign tips and from their whole team. So we do appreciate GSG and their sponsorship, and they're doing great.
And
awesome.
So they do a really good job. And so anyway, so that's about it. And I just got to say, go Noles, beat Clemson tomorrow. Hopefully we'll get a big fat W and not a sorry ass L.
Yep, the big game for us is Michigan State tomorrow.
Right.
So
All
Marshall
right.
asked who I am rooting for. I don't care. I have a brother who went to Michigan State and a brother who went to U of M, so I don't care.
Yeah, well, I went to Florida State, and so I'm all about.
You do care, yeah.
That, right? I do care, right? So, anyway, hey, Bruce, don't go anywhere. We're just going to end the show. So, thanks everyone. We appreciate you guys watching, and we will talk to you next week. And I think Frank's our guest next week, isn't he?
Is he?
Yeah.
He's coming
Thank
up.
you guys.
Frank, are you on next week? I think it is. God forbid.
I think it's next week. Anyway, we'll watch our ads for it, and we'll figure out who the hell our guest is.
It is. We got a bunch of guests coming up, so yeah, it'll be good.
All right.
Sweet.
Hey,
thank you guys so much.
Thanks a lot, Bruce.
Bye, guys. Thank you, everyone. Bye.